because some of the drills we do, all mind you, they might have never seen, but they do understand it, and then they see that they can stand out in it, and they can shoot the ball, they can stop the ball, they got good footwork, they're tough, they care, they're coachable, and that's really what wanting to play at the next level. Those are some key things that are going to open plenty of doors for you.
You're listening to the First City Lacrosse podcast, the second greatest lacrosse podcast on the planet. Buckle up, strap your helmet on, and let's go.
And welcome back to First City Lacrosse. I'm your host, Coach Jon. We are the second greatest lacrosse podcast on the planet. I am honored to host Coach Andrew Carey from Huntingdon today. Coach, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for having me, Coach.
Hey, and just so everybody knows, I'm just going to full on admit it right now. The first 10 seconds of this podcast, I just edited out because I completely screwed it up. So, mistakes are okay. We just don't have to publicize them. That's the point. All right. Coach, let's get right into it. You are the head coach at Huntingdon. Tell us a little bit about how you got there and what you do.
Let's see. I've been the head coach here, worked here at Huntingdon, August of 20. This August was my 15th year here, and I started the program in 2010. Took a year to recruit a team. We had our first class come on campus in fall of 2011, and then first game of 2012. I'm from Salisbury, Maryland. I grew up playing there in fourth grade. Picked up the game from Coach Jim Berkman when he started lacrosse in the on the Eastern Shore, and just picked it up. And of all people, my mom told me that I should try it, and I did. And I think love my mom to death, but she's not a super sports person. I think she probably came to like 4 of my college games just because she didn't understand it. But a sport that I fell in love with and ended up playing all through high school. Got to be a senior on the first Eastern Shore of Maryland team to go to the state championship, and then played lacrosse at Greensboro College in North Carolina from graduating in 03, from 03 to 07, so 04 to 07 season, and was the assistant coach there from 07 to 10. And my boss there, guy that recruited me and that I worked for, was also the athletics director. So jumped into it. I got to be a lot more hands-on with the coaching side of things because he was doing the admin side. And then, of course, going to a small private school, you got student loans, and I needed to get a full-time job. So this job opened up. I was applying like crazy that summer after being assistant coach for 3 years. And luckily, when they did my reference check, Coach Berkman at Salisbury called them, or he was on my list. They spoke to him, and that worked wonders. So lacrosse is a small world, and I've been able to talk to and get information and knowledge from a whole vast group of people that have grown my experience, which then has led over to being here and was starting the program from scratch. Was lucky enough to get a job that fully supported men's lacrosse and the cohort that they're trying to grow here. Had a lot of awesome kids from Maryland, Virginia, California, the Midwest, places that I probably would have never knew had great, awesome players that have really been standout athletes here. Two of the guys I've coached are in the Hall of Fame already. A lot of them have done a ton of special things. We were able to play in the NCAA tournament, which in 18, and win another conference championship in 19, but fall short of winning the conference tournament that year. So we've seen championships, we've seen rough seasons, we've seen some awesome upsets. We've been upset by some teams that probably make you stay awake at night. But the entire experience here, from when I started at the age of 25 till now, has been an awesome ride, and it just changes every year, which is, I think, what makes the job so fun, interesting, and keeps you fresh.
Yeah. Well, and I know your program specifically is, a lot of our players, I won't say a lot, but a lot of the players in this area are familiar with your program. They go to your showcases or your your prospect days, and everyone has positive things to say. That, you know, the guys you bring out for those prospect days and the way you organize it. You know, I've seen a couple of them. My boys have even participated in some of them, and just seeing, you know, and we've done a good number of them, but I will say yours are by far the most fun. I know my boys had a lot of fun. I think partially because, you know, they knew a lot of the guys there. You know, they played with them in high school, but also you structure your prospect day like, you know, almost like a miniature showcase. You break them up and you run them through a college practice, you know, and you have your guys coaching them. And I really like that, you know, the teaching method and the coaching method. And you don't, sometimes you stand back and sometimes you're involved, but getting in there and treating them like players, the relationship is very obvious. Hey, I'm the coach, you're the player. You're going to do this drill this way, and then you take a break. They get a chance to see the school a little bit, and then they go right into scrimmages. And it's a great opportunity for the players to be able to see, like, this is what it's going to be like.
Yeah, and those kids stand out. I think they might, when they show up and get on campus and get on the field, get in a stadium and do that stuff, and have college coaches or myself and my helpers walking around, they might kind of wonder if they fit in or if they can do this. And then when they get through about 15 minutes and realize that, hey, there's some of the better players here, and what their high school coaches and what their club coaches are, and all the resources that they've used up to now is really starting to bloom and show that they are quality players, that it really ends up being a great experience for them. Because some of the drills we do, all mind you, they might have never seen, but they do understand it, and then they see that they can stand out in it, and they can shoot the ball, they can stop the ball, they got good footwork, they're tough, they care, they're coachable, and that's really what wanting to play at the next level. Those are some key things that are going to open plenty of doors for you.
Yeah, and those types of things, those lessons they learn there also help them in college and beyond, I think.
That's right.
Yeah. Let's back up just a little bit. Let's get to know you just a little bit more. When you picked up the stick, you said what, in 4th grade?
Yeah.
What position did you play, or did you kind of experiment with a bunch of them?
Yeah, so I was part of the group that when, of course, Salisbury State University at that time was a power program. We all know they've won now through 13, 14 national championships. But Coach Berkman's kids were I think Coach Berkman, Kyler, is 2 years younger than me. So when he needed a platform for his kids to play, so he started it through the YMCA in the area. And I actually started by playing defense for about a year, and realized that I'd much rather be in the newspaper for the press clippings for scoring goals and handling the ball. So I ended up switching to attack after about the first travel season. Our league there was lumped into rec, was in the spring, and then you also, if you were interested, you played travel, and travel played against other teams in the Eastern Shore, like Easton, Kent Island, and all of those teams, Kent County, Beach. So you then formed the league, which carried through the back end of spring into the later part of spring, and of course state championship. If you won the Eastern Shore League, you then played in against the Howard County folks, all of those folks, which then blossomed into a state championship at each age group. So started at defense. I remember not knowing anything about it, having a bigger stick, and I was a bigger kid than one of the bigger kids at that age group, and really just standing in front of the goal with my stick up like you'd play zone defense, and didn't get it because I didn't play basketball, played baseball only. So the team concepts of defending, of ball and ball moving and attack really definitely aren't in baseball. So it took me it was a real eye-opening experience to just see the game and how fast it moved then, and realize, hey, I don't really want to be chasing people around. I'd rather them chase me. So quickly that fall, we had an indoor league. That fall got my stick skills drastically improved, and I realized that, hey, I'd rather have a short stick, and I'd rather have the ball, and I'd rather shoot and score. So then carried over to my next year, moving into playing attack, and I played attack ever since.
Yeah. Well, I think that shows in some of the coaching as well, the offense. When we watch you play, like your guys are fast and they move the ball quick, and there is not a lot of dead time in your offense. Yeah, I've seen it both with attending some of those games, and then also seeing it when my son played for your shred thread team. Like, it's fast.
No, we do. I I'd say that kind of starts with how we would like to play. Of course, that centers in a lot of stick skills, and the type of player we do get here is a very good athlete. So we like to expose that, and their stick skills might just be growing. And while we do play fast, we do still buy into the fact of we're okay playing 6-on-6 because we have athletes that can beat a lot of people 1-on-1 to find 2-on-1s and then create our offense from there. Our club ball and our national team stuff, I do like those guys to get up and down, find a matchup, move it, finish, work very fast. I think the strength of our college program has been we can execute the 6-on-6 stuff. And I mean, our play sheet, our motion sheet is probably 30, 40 plays deep that is changed. And we kind of rotate from this shape to this shape, depending on as people start to scout us. So the first part of the year in the fall, you see us do a lot of 2-2-3-1. Then we break into like the 1-4-1, and then finally we're in our 3-1-2. So our shape can kind of then turn into a pairs offense, from triangle motion offense to a pairs offense, to like our invert offense. There's a lot of stuff, and I think the guys are almost too blind to it that they just do it. There is a lot of growing pains. There's a lot of practice. There's a lot of walkthrough. There's a lot of understanding different scenes. I think a lot of the teams that watch us will be like, man, the coaches over there video gaming them. And it's what I do like to do, but I can only do that as I've got very good athletes that can, bench, squat, clean, sprint, run, play good defense, especially at the midfield. That just get up and down so that our guys on attack can just finish the ball, find the 2-on-1s. But a lot of it is started with our middies, and that's kind of the root of how we end up winning games. Those guys getting from defense to offense, playing fast from defense to offense, and staying on the field, and then having good stamina to continue to play offense, to then play defense again, to then probably sub off.
You said something in there that I want to touch on because I think it's important, and I think a lot of the high school players out here don't do it as often as they should. You talked specifically about lifting weights just a second ago. How important is that to your athletes in your program?
Yeah, we have a strength coach that takes care of our guys Monday, Tuesday, and Thursdays, and it's a whole different level of training. A lot of it's mental, a lot of it's injury prevention, and a lot of it's leadership development. So while we're at the D3 level, and while I'm in the fall season now, I'm only allowed 25 practice sessions, and so we don't do 25 weight sessions. We have weights offered from the second week of school until finals week. And our strength coach offers a block of about an hour and a half where the men's team comes in there, he trains them, runs them through a session, has a whole program, and you'll see probably 95% participation simply because the leadership of the guys that are seniors and juniors know the importance of going through that. So while I do have a different range of guys that have never been in the weight room to guys that are in it all the time, our strength coach does a good job of bringing everyone center. And I think the quicker you realize it's about team building, leadership, growth, then you start to really, really tackle it head on and realize that, hey, I really don't know how to do a power clean, but if you listen and learn and apply it, follow some of the older guys, you end up getting through the weight program, jumping into season and into fall ball with a real open and understanding of structure, order of operation, and things that I think we're very fortunate that a lot of smaller D3 institutions specifically don't have. So weights before you head into college. Once you deposit here and say, hey, I'm coming to Huntingdon College, they get this summer workout program. It probably looks like Spanish to most kids because it's got movements and stuff that they haven't seen. But it is YouTube links in there. He's Coach Goodyear's readily open to talking to anyone and helping them if they have any questions. And he does a good job of walking you through it so you can understand all of the movements. And like I said, I've got the workout rats that have done it from once high school started to then when they show up on campus to the guys that haven't touched a weight ever and have just been kind of guys that have been good athletes and haven't needed to. And then they get out here and they realize eating right, working out is going to be what's the next step to being a quality player. And I would say there's plenty of guys that don't work out as hard as they should, and they get by. And then usually when they graduate and they finish up, they're like, man, I wish I'd hit the weight room a little bit harder on those fall sessions. Or they show up and they're jacked and ripped, and I'm like, man, it would have been good if you were that jacked and ripped when you played for me. And they're kind of like, yeah, I didn't really get it until I graduated, the importance of nutrition and working out. But it is here, and it is something that we appreciate he does for us. It has really helped us stay at a high level. Even if we haven't quite had the teams that have been as skilled as previous teams, we've still worked hard in that and realized that everyone's on board because of kind of the sacrifice they give by being in there, really getting their butts kicked or kicking the weights back,
Well, and I think, once they see or play their first college game, even fall ball or even in one of those pre-college seasons, they're high school graduate and they play a little bit of summer on one of those teams, they see how physical it is and they realize that, they're not going to be able to get away with what they used to get away with in high school. You can't just, a lot of times you can't just run around the big defender. The big defender is going to keep up with you now.
Right.
And he's going to hurt you if
Right.
if you're not careful.
That's
you have to learn how to absorb that contact. Did you learn that from somebody? Is there a special coach you kind of modeled that after, or is that something you've just sort of built over the last 15 years of coaching?
What's that?
Like developing that weight training program.
Yeah. So our strength coach when I got here, he was the football offensive line coach, and he's extremely specialized. He does a ton of training for the Air Force as well. Helped right there, hand-to-hand combat manual. And he was able to shift over to just the strength coach, leave the football coaching side, and now he's got a whole staff over there of about 5 or 6 interns, a assistant strength coach. So at about year 5 or year 6, he was able to dedicate to all sports. And his discipline and energy and fire is I don't even need to go down there and watch the weights. There's a understanding that if you come in here, that's the type of energy you need to bring. And then he does a good job of making them understand that they got to bring that out to the field. And he's at practices from time to time, watching practices. He's getting feedback from me and the guys about how practice went. And he really helps keep them in check. And those 2 championships we won, the one tournament that we won in 2018, it was a Friday and a Saturday game, and which is very tough for a newer program. And we played a team that first we played Greensboro College that we'd beaten by 1 in the regular season. And then we ended up winning that game by a huge margin. We really took care of business. And then we rolled right over to play Methodist University that next game, and a game that was also, I want to say, an overtime game. And we really shellacked them as well. And I credit the entire workout experience to the high pace, the energy that those 2 games were just kind of like sitting back and watching it, cook kind of, you just sat back and were like, look at this. This is awesome. The amount of coaching that had to be done was slim. The guys just executed the plan. They were faster. They were stronger. And we took care of business. And it carried it, and it went through the next season too, where we won the regular season. And had we not had so many injuries, we would have probably won the tournament in 2019 also. But things happen, and I think winning's just as much luck as it is skill.
Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes it is. I think that fitness portion of it, though, that weight training, I think that's a huge part of it as well. It is something that our high schoolers need to pay more attention to,
Yeah.
especially if they do want to play in college, because you get a lot, and it's a lot more than just the physical rewards of, being stronger and being able to run further and run faster. It's a lot of it is confidence. A lot of it is discipline, the discipline to do one more rep, the confidence to know that you can go up against a big guy and you can beat him, or the understanding that you're faster now than you were this time 3 months ago. So I think that weight training is a huge piece, and our high schoolers, I think, miss a lot of that sometimes.
Yeah.
So it's good to hear you say those things, and hopefully they take that lesson to heart. What kind of things? So you've been coaching for a long time. How has your coaching style changed from when you first started to kind of where you are now?
Wow, when I first started, and I think a lot of the guys that had played for me would definitely stress that I was a little more, I won't say strict, but a little bit more like louder, I guess. And I had a lot more, like, I don't want to say I demanded perfection, but I had a lot more, I guess, energy constantly. And that's not a bad thing. That's just how the athletes have kind of changed now, that they can get so much information and use their phones as resources, use the internet as resources. And there's different like goalie Smith, there's FOA, there's different training things. So you're not combating that, but the kids are coming in with so much information that really now it's more so harnessing it and making them understand. So you're more of a educator and a professor now. Like, you're going to see your middle school coach and your high school coach are probably going to be the guys that are a little bit louder, leaders through, I guess, not screaming and yelling, but I'll call it screaming and yelling. And then your college coaches, especially nowadays, have to be more of the professors, where it's like, yes, I understand where you're coming from. It's not just my way or the highway. I do understand that your high school coach, he's even taken the mold of being more of a teacher also, and he's presenting tons of information. So I've changed from being the guy like, come on, this is what's so very important and it's my way or the highway, to now being someone that's more receptive to applying a player's skill to our program. If he is, quick, or if he does really like to take a lower angle shot that I might get pretty upset about, but he can make the lower angle shot because he's practiced it for 3 years and watched it on YouTube, then it's kind of like, well, maybe we might need to work an offense where we create a lower angle shot for that kid to take, because he's shown that he can do it at practice. So there's a lot more open-ended thinking. I don't know if the guys see that. I think my older guys see it as they come back to watch us play, and they watch my interactions with the guys. So it's more just like understanding them and then applying their strengths to the practice field, to the game field, where it was like, hey, here's the outline. You need to fit into the outline now, or otherwise you're going to struggle to play. And we've kind of moved into it being more of a group collab. Even though the guys don't think that they have much input into it, they do. They're seen at practice. We see what they're good at. If there's a goalie that's a very good athlete, he might actually handle the ball more than I'd have said he'd have done a couple of years ago. We might do more 10-man rides than I think we've ever done. The shot clock has changed a ton of what our kind of makeup was. We were a very slow down team. We liked the 6-on-6 set on offense. We worked really hard at the face-off X with winning face-offs, making sure we were at 65% or above, so that we could play 6-on-6. Now it's even kind of shifted to, hey, we got to be a lot faster. We got to sub faster. We got to do things where we're maybe pushing the break off of the clear. Middy's got to play even more defense. So it's constantly changing. And I think if I could tell you one thing, a major thing that I've changed, it's been more of looking at the players' strengths as opposed to just kind of molding the players. 'Cause I've only got them for 4 years, and I mean, not a ton of dudes are 4-year starters. So really, I've got probably looking like 3 to 2 years of playing time that I've got to kind of mold the guys, help see the guys' strengths and put them into the best spots possible.
I'm really glad you said that, because I have noticed the same thing in some of my coaching. When I first started, I didn't have any playing experience, and so I had plenty of coaching experience. I had played other sports, but I got involved because my boys got involved, and I wanted to learn the sport. But one thing I noticed over the years, as I was coaching, that I realized that the louder I was, the less I knew, and sometimes a calm response is better. It helps you explain concepts easier, but also, like you said, focusing on the player versus the program, in terms of, like, one of the things, as an example, one of the things I used to tell players all the time was like, hey, don't shoot sidearm. And that was me being a little bit naive at the time, because I really wanted them, the goal was like, I want you to get really good at the overhand shots. I want you to be good shooting overhand with your right hand, with your left hand. I want you taking those shots when you have the chance. You're going to get more speed. You're going to get more accuracy. Those are all things that I believed. And then, I realized that I was missing a big part of it by taking that tool away from them. If they were really good at a sidearm shot, I wanted to still be able to use that tool. Of course, I wanted them to be able to shoot right-handed, left-handed, on the run, stationary, behind, wherever they were at. But taking away a tool from them, I realized was not a good solution. And it, when I took a step back and focused on, like, am I trying to develop players here, or am I trying to develop my own system? And
That's right.
once I realized that, my players are my system, I was the one that needed to adapt to their skills, and I could still encourage them to do those other things. But I noticed then that my teams got better. My coaching staffs got better, and some of the things that we were able to accomplish, we just seem to be able to do those things a lot faster. So I'm glad you said that. I've never actually said that to another coach before, that, sometimes, as coaches, we don't fess up our weaknesses so easily, but it's huge to be able to look back or to look at yourself in the mirror and say, like, I need to change the way I do this. So I appreciate you bringing that up.
Yeah, for sure.
What kind of things are you focused on? So you're involved in lacrosse pretty much year round, right? You have your preseason, right now we're fall season. So you're going to do that. And then kind of walk us through sort of the structure of your year as a coach for your program. And what does that look like? So fall season happens, you're going to have a couple of games.
Yeah. Lacrosse for me is 24/7. I think I've probably sacrificed a lot of my, like, personal time for the sport, in like avenues that have been great, and some avenues I wish I could go back and try some, maybe where I took a left turn, maybe take a right turn. But we started fall. We're in our third week of fall practice this week, and like I said at the onset, we're able to use 25 practices now throughout the fall semester. That used to be you only had about 19 weeks in the whole calendar year, fall and spring, to do lacrosse. So of course the season's going to take about 15. You then had 4 in the fall, and once you started those 4 weeks in the fall, you then only had 15 practices to get those practices in that 4-week gap. Well, NCAA changed it we're in year 3 of this 24 practices in the fall, and you're able to use as many of those as you'd like, up to 24, and then a play day. And you can start on the second day of school and have a practice a week for 12 weeks, or 2 practices a week for 12 weeks. We kind of smashed it all into the front end, and that's the first year we've ever done it. We usually would start about October the 1st, and then into ending like November, the first week of November. I was realizing that the cold and flu season comes about the end of October, so my teams were kind of getting hit. My teams were getting hit with that.
Yeah.
academics also got a lot harder at about that middle of October up until finals, because we go home for Thanksgiving break, and at Huntington we don't come back until the next semester. So most institutions you'll see Thanksgiving break, come back for 2 weeks, and then go for winter break. We're done at Thanksgiving break, so I was realizing a bulk of their academic criteria was getting hammered there when I was doing practice, and it was really wearing on the guys. Added here, we don't have class on Fridays, so our 4-day week, or Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday sessions are really crammed in with like information, projects, assignments, presentations, tests, and I just wasn't doing my guys a service. So this is actually the first year I've started a lot earlier. I think we started the third week of school, and we've seen a lot of positive return from that. I also was okay with doing that because we only had one senior last year, and we brought everyone back plus our 11 freshmen. So that really helped with those guys jumping into 2/3 of the team being older guys, being guys that have played in college. So they got to kind of immerse themselves and learn and get on the right path early. And it's been good so far. We're way ahead in the fall season where we normally would be. We're up into our 4-on-4s and our 5-on-5s, and we'll get into our 6-on-6 and man up, man down through this week. We have a alumni game October the 3rd, Friday. That'll end our fall ball. That'll be 19 practices in, and I'm able to use those other 5 practices to start a little bit earlier in the spring. I think our start date is the 21st of January, and I can start a few days earlier if I have dates left over.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll do a few mandatory days in the fall that'll cut into that. So I think I have 3 dates to start earlier, and we'll do a few. The strength coach does a really good thing called Lucky 777s, which are pretty hard, and I make that mandatory. We have a few recruit days, like our prospect day, plus our November the 8th day, which I'll make an all hands on deck day, and make the guys all be there to just kind of be part of the experience. And once fall's over, I'll jump right into club ball with my shred thread team from October the 18th until about all the way through that January 16th. We end our club ball stuff at Sandstorm. But we have events that are recruiting focused events that I would be at anyway. So we take the shred thread national team there, and lacrosse runs until, like I said, that Sandstorm festival. We're back from Cali, and we're jumping into spring practice that latter part of January, with the first game starting February the 7th, and running until the end of April, first part of May with the conference tournament. You win the conference tournament, you play in NCAAs that first weekend in May, and you keep on going until it's done. From May, I got some time off until May 31st when we do the Carolina Open
Now, is that a club team, or is that you still?
That's back on our club team. So we're starting club ball in May. The May 31st is our first tournament. We'll take the shred thread national team there, and that'll run all summer. We've kind of broken up the national team from national to, we have a Supreme team now, which runs in the Midwest. That was just started, and I think we'll start to segment our program off with some good coaches that will kind of run little regional stuff that'll better help the national team maybe focus on just July and early part of August, as we kind of build in some little pockets. We are going to launch lacrosse back in Montgomery. I was hoping to do a event here in the early part of February, which will start with a clinic for the youth here in the city and through the middle schools and elementary schools. I think roughly we have an Auburn team, the Daphne crew, the Huntsville crew, and the Bob Jones crew is going to come on campus, high school team, and play like a play date on a Sunday, and we'll do a clinic Saturday evening or Sunday at some time to just re-intro the game and then kind of split it off from there. So a lot of lacrosse. My daughter is going to start playing, and she's in 6th grade. We're going to go up to Auburn this October. So there's tons of lacrosse that's kind of what I have every day. So
Yeah.
it's fun. So I can't say it's a day that I'm working. It's a day that I'm just giving back to a sport that that I've thoroughly enjoyed.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I also will say I really love those players from Auburn. They are, we've had them in a few tournaments down here, and those coaches, they genuinely care about those kids. They care about development. I really like what I see from that group. I think they're a lot of fun. So
Yeah.
that's cool. Can we shift gears a little bit and talk about, in the summer, that's sort of when you probably start your recruiting, right? Are you heavy into recruiting, or are guys sort of just like jumping into your email? Talk to me about the recruiting process for you and your team.
Yeah. So the recruiting process, across the board is like a 4-step process. You need to be identified first. And with that, we are a program that goes out and identifies and finds athletes. So we kind of tend to start regionally. Guys that are in the West Florida Panhandle, Georgia, Florida in general, Tennessee over to Texas. Those are guys that we really want our bread and butter guys to really be the bulk of our applied group that next class. We typically get about 100 to 125 kids to apply. That's a lot. And then we visit, probably of that, probably half of them end up coming on campus. So like 60 come on campus, and then we end up getting about 10 to commit. So once we've identified, and a lot of institutions do the ID side of things different. Some of them let the have the athletes reach out to them, fill out questionnaires. We of course do that. Many of them go find kids. Some of your higher end start it way earlier by asking high end club coaches, high end high school coaches, who's the guy that's standing out. But we're kind of not as fortunate. We do, everyone that fills out a questionnaire, we tend to eval quickly with film, their grades, of course, ask for if they can come to prospect day, ask for what tournaments they're doing. I've been fortunate to run the national team and be able to get my hands on some kids that would sign up for that. And then those guys are honestly probably end up being half of our 11, 12 kids that come in, and they'll be like, hey, I enjoyed working with Coach Carey. He's someone that I learned a lot from. Let me come check out campus. And then from campus, it goes to making this their home. So while my national team's playing, I'm coaching against a team, maybe let's call it the Red Wings, and I see 5 or 6 kids on the Red Wings that are rising seniors, and we'll highlight them. I'll put them in our database. We'll get them information on visit days, applying, reaching out and texting. That's kind of the eval phase, which is phase number 2. So once you've been identified, you got to be evaled. So while I might have found a kid that is a lefty attackman from West Florida that'd be a great fit because he's close to home, he's got a 4.0 GPA, we got to eval him. Can he catch and throw? Can he shoot? Is he someone that's probably going to wait a couple years to play? Is he someone that can play quickly? And then from once the eval, we go to phase 3. We'll start to compare. We don't compare as much. If you're interested in us, and you fit the benchmarks, you're a good kid, you got good grades, you got a plan for after college with work or school, we'll offer you and take you in our program. Some of your scholarship schools will jump into the compare phase where they're comparing all of their attackmen to be like, hey, we're going to offer these 3 or 4 kids because we only need 3 or 4 guys. And we're still very open to a lot of guys. We're not going to really turn anyone away that wants to be here and wants to get an education here and play here. You just do got to understand that, hey, your skill might hold you back from playing if you don't do what the coaching staff's telling you with working out, hitting the ball, and so forth. And then your phase 4 is getting the offer. So we try to offer kids, like I said, that we vetted, that we think can fit into the program, that we think would be good kids. We do have them come on campus, hang out with our players for a few hours. The players come back and say, hey man, that guy was awesome. He really fit in. He's got a good head on his shoulders. So those are the guys that we're offering. When you get into your D2s that are competing for conference championships and your D2s that are trying to win national championships, they might be a little more like hands off on going through the process and really comparing you to another person that they're recruiting. And we tend to do that some, but a lot of it's if you've come on campus, you've been accepted, and we think you're a good kid that can help us win games and work hard, we're going to offer you a spot on the team, and then let you go from there as to if this is a place that you would like to call home. Because all of our scholarships are academic and need based. That centers around our discount rate. So when you're looking at Huntingdon, you got to understand that while I can't give you money to play here, what your grades, your need, outside scholarships, that's going to factor into final price here, which will then turn into, hey, that's an option that we can make affordable for our family, and that's the place that we would like to be. I guess my job is to let you know that we play high-end college ball here, and that I would like to have you here, and that you're someone that can be successful and really, really thrive here. That's kind of our whole recruiting picture from the start of the summer all through summer to early August. We start to really look at our list of typically about 500 kids. So as to all these tournaments that I'm going to, if I'm marking down 10 or 12 kids, my assistant coach is marking down 15, 20 kids, plus the kids that have come through the club program, that really starts to stack up a lot. Plus the kids that have filled out questionnaires. Maybe you, coach, would say, hey, I got 3 kids you need to talk to. We're going to put those kids on the list, reach out to them, vet them with their grades, get them on campus. So our list starts pretty big. And then of that 500 or so, like I said, you get 125 to apply. And from applied, you then get half to visit. And then there's your class. And if we get to about February or March, and I'm like, man, we really need an attackman, that's when we're going to start reaching out to, again, people like yourself, other club coaches. We're going to dig back into the database. Maybe we'll contact some kids that didn't respond the first time around or didn't respond to text, to then start that process back over, see if they found a home. We're researching Instagrams. Maybe there's a kid that we got a phone number for. He didn't answer a text or a call. I'll have my assistant Instagram look him up. That's the first way. If the kid's got some knucklehead stuff on his Instagram, we'll just move on quickly. But that's a way we might reach out and say, hey, have you found a home? Would you be interested in going through the process with us? It's a lot of work. It's a ton.
You are saying all the things I've been preaching to my high school players for years. Clean up your social media because your coaches are looking for it. Answer the phone when they call. Send them an email. Send them a text. Respond to those text messages, even if you don't have any intent to go there, because you never know. Maybe you end up there. You also brought up the money thing, which I'm really glad. A lot of people, I think, still don't realize that as a NCAA Division III program, you can't offer athletic scholarships. Right. They just don't exist for D3. But that, I think, deters some people because they say, well, I can't get an athletic scholarship, so I'm not going to go there. It's a private school. It's too expensive. But what they don't understand, and you mentioned it, is that there are a host of other awards that they could get that could drive that cost of tuition down. And the overall cost to attend might be cheaper than if you went to a school that maybe did offer an athletic scholarship, but not as much academic scholarship. Then, that you have to balance all those things. How much is it going to cost? What degree program am I looking at? Am I even qualified? And this is where, you talk about grades. And then, am I a good fit for that program? Is that program a good fit for me? I mean, it's all these things are so important. Now, when a player wants to reach out, so you obviously identify some players that you think would be a good fit for your program, and you do a whole vetting process. What about a player who says, hey, I really want to at least explore my option at Huntingdon? What's the best way for them to get in front of you so that you will look at their highlight tape, so that you will contact them and they can end up on your list?
Yeah, I answer and review every email. I might be a little bit slower
Mm-hmm.
on some points, but I really make sure that I get to every email. And because my job is to recruit and to run a efficient and high end cohort here at Huntington, which is men's lacrosse, if you're like your email title is interested in hunting, put your grad year in there, interested in attending Huntington College and your name, and then write a nice email that has your GPA, your planned course of study, requesting a link to the questionnaire, because I'll typically bounce you back the questionnaire right there, which will also gather that information so I can have it like readily as people and admissions asks. And then I'm going to turn and get on a call or a conversation with you pretty quickly. I'm going to ask for film. Maybe if there isn't any film, I'm going to review what club team you play for. I'm going to see if I know the club coach, the high school coach. See if you know any of the players on my team. Because I do get a lot of those. Hey, I play at this high school. Blah 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 is one of your attackmen. He told me that I should email you, and letting me know your GPA is key. Letting me know your planned course of study. It is a little bit frustrating when I get some of these templated emails where they'll check a bunch of schools that fit the box, and we fit a lot of boxes. But it'll be like, hey, I'm really interested in doing software engineering. I'm like, well, we don't have that, and it's obvious you didn't totally do some research on what we have. So you probably sent that to 30 schools in the Southeast, and yeah, probably 7 of them have it, but that didn't look too cool. So doing a personal email showing that you've done some research, said, hey, I see you have a business program. I would like to explore that option. I see, your lacrosse program's a growing program. I would like to see if I can fit into it. If you don't have film, I'll then ask you to come prospect day. Let me know if you're playing any fall lacrosse. If you're not playing any fall lacrosse, we can come see you during the high school season. But we're going to do pretty much most of the vetting before we get into that point to make sure you're a good student, you're a good kid, and then you come and see what we bring to the table. So lots of research, but just a formal introduction email is then going to get me to kick you back the questionnaire, which has a lot of the questions that I need answered, like playing major, mom, dad, cell phone number, high school coach, GPA, all that stuff's going to be right in there. And if you fill it out, then I'll have all my questions answered, which will then turn into getting you to apply. And our application's free. It takes like 10 minutes to then get you to send us your transcripts. You can get accepted and your scholarship sent to you within 48 hours of filling all that out. And then FAFSA, of course, opens in October. So we ask you to fill that out, and we can get packages out before Thanksgiving break. And you can really look at what we're bringing to the table to make it a reality. But a good email, a formal email that I've done a little bit of research. And I'm not telling you to find the date the college was founded or what the business professor's name is. And,
right.
I'm just asking you to make sure that we have your major, make sure that you've done a little bit of research on the team. A tough question is I will reach out to some kids. I'm like, what kind of questions do you have? And I get what's your record? I mean, that's online. And
yeah.
I hope you could have researched that to realize that, what our record was. So it shows.
Hey, Coach, I saw your record was 8-4 last year.
Yes.
What kind of changes are you looking to make, and how can I best fit in? I think that would be a totally valid question.
For sure.
Yeah. So yeah, I think sometimes the players are nervous and they don't know what to ask, and
I think you're right.
And it's their first time really interacting with, because they see these college coaches, they see a coach like you, and they're just like, oh man, this guy's, he's at this higher level. I don't know, like they don't even know if they belong yet, and so they're still awkward in that teenage phase. And I think that the best advice I could ever give those kids is like, talk to the coach the way as if you've known him for 5 years already.
Mhm.
Talk to them exactly that way, and ask questions that that impact both of you.
Right.
Don't ask quite like, what you said. Don't ask, do some research. You make sure they have your major, first of all. I have a lot of kids that ask about like the money issue, and it's just like, well, you need to talk to the coach.
Yeah.
The coach has the inside track on all of that. And, if a D2 coach has 4 scholarships to give, he's not going to give 4 scholarships to, he's not going to give 1 scholarship to 4 players. He's going to break that scholarship up so he can help 20 players if he can. So, have you seen anything like that, with some of the changes the NCAA has made, like, for NIL, does that affect you in any way, affect your guys, people asking about it?
No, I mean, I think I've had some kids do little stuff, little minor stuff for their local areas. Maybe, I'm doing something for the local car shop. The car shop guy I helped him with a commercial. The car shop guy is, going to give me some money to play there.
Right.
I think back to your point about money. I think college is expensive. College is a investment, and I get a lot of I don't really want to finance it or take out loans, and I'm kind of like, I understand you're going to finance your house, probably you're probably going to finance your car, and you're probably going to finance your wife's engagement ring. So let's all think about that. That's stuff that can be taken away. You're financing your education. You can't have that taken from you. Once you graduate from here and your student note comes in, and while it might affect you over the next 10 years or so while you pay it off, you have a higher ed degree. And that's going to open up so many more doors, which if you really took advantage of the higher ed experience, you're going to then maybe go to graduate school for a reduced price because you got a good GPA. Maybe you're going to jump into the workforce and be a teacher and get a job that's going to be there for 20 and 30 years. So I think looking at higher ed and understanding that it's going to be something that is not bad to invest in. And then if you're able to play lacrosse or go to a place like a Huntingdon, you're going to really be nurtured. And that gap of graduating high school to the real world, jumping into the real world, super scary. And that gap of prep that you get really helps you be successful when you leave here. And then kind of back to the cost, and he can't give me any money. It's a discount rate. So the schools that have academic scholarships and the schools that have athletic scholarship, you said maybe a school that only has 4 scholarships, they might have a little bit more academics. Like, understand, can they stack it? Just look at the school's discount rate off of tuition. And a lot of us schools are the same, 45 to 55% discount rates off of tuition. And that's kind of what you're looking at. Of course, we aren't state schools. There are few state schools that offer a chance to play varsity lacrosse. So you kind of got to look at that if you want to play varsity lacrosse or not, and then look at the where that's going to kind of be offered is a lot of us little private schools, and it's a good investment. And I think my parents hounded me when I decided to go to Greensboro, a little private school, take out student loans, when I could have gone right down the road and played even higher level lacrosse. It's just kind of something where you kind of got to sit back and say, is this going to set me up for what I would like to do in the future? Is this going to nurture me? Am I going to be able to grow and learn here? And that investment in college, it's been the best investment I've ever had. I've had some cool cars. I've had some cool things. I've taken out credit card debt to go on some cool vacations that I've financed. Those have been great. But financing my education and looking at it that way has been the best. I wouldn't be sitting here chatting with you, Coach, if it wasn't for going to play lacrosse in college at maybe a smaller school where I got nurtured, where I bonded with the coach, got to be his assistant. That whole thing started right there. And there's so many kids that have graduated here that had the same story, maybe a little bit chink to it. And it might have their path to law school, might have their path to vet school. But it's just kind of it's not necessary, but it's a good investment. And that's what I want to stress on to a lot of kids that just kind of flush it quickly and are like, well, guess I'm just going to go to West Florida. It's in state and it's cheap. And yeah, no, I do get it, but but really, really work hard for and look into these opportunities like a Piedmont, like a Shorter, like a Montevallo, like us. We're all within driving range, and we're all have an opportunity to play college lacrosse. Look into it. Really try to make a plan that can involve keeping a sport that you love on your radar, because the people you meet through it is special.
Yeah, it's a family for sure. And, you'll never know the answers to these questions unless you ask. You ask the coach, you ask the admissions office, and there are people out there willing to answer those questions. They want you to call them, and they want you to email them. And, at the end of the day, at the end of your college experience, you can always look back from then until the day they put you in the ground, that you could say, I was a college athlete, I'm a college graduate, and that is something you could take with you forever. So
Right.
you don't cheat yourself out of the experience because you're afraid to make a phone call. Just make the call.
That's right.
All right, let's wrap this up. But before we do, Coach, what are you most looking forward to this season?
This season, like I said, we only graduated one guy, so we feel as though we replaced that guy with a pretty strong freshman. We got a solid defense. We brought in 4 goalies that are freshmen that are competing super hard for playing time, and they're all very good ball stoppers. They have different strengths, so we're sorting through that now.
That's a good problem to have.
Yeah, it is. It is for now, until we maybe get to the thing. If I'm still haven't decided by who our guy is by March, then we're probably in kind of trouble and probably need to recruit another one. But right now they're competing. It's an upgrade from what we had the last couple of years, and that's really been our void for the last 3 years, is a really competent goalie and competent goalie competition. So I'm looking forward to kind of turning the corner finally. The last couple of years have been rough. We've had some disciplinary issues, some things go down, some retention issues that have not played in our favor, which happens a lot at these small schools. Maybe a kid leaves that you had thought would stay or whatever. So we kind of finally got a good core of guys that are playing college level ball at all positions. Sprinkle in some young guys that are good athletes that can get up and down the field, that are smart players, and we got a pretty solid chance to kind of break back through and end up in that top 4 of our conference, which would be a huge step. And I know we've been fighting to get there, and I think we thought we were there last year as kind of finally a team that would make the conference tournament, and we just didn't get it done. And even the year before, we kind of expected us to be a team, and just things didn't go the way they probably should have or could have, and that's just because you have learning experiences. So I'm looking forward to a team that's I say playing higher end college ball for the first time in a couple of years. Like I said, we're way ahead than we have been over the last couple of falls, and that makes the spring look pretty fun.
Well, I'm excited for you. I'm excited for your players. I'm definitely going to have to find my way up to a couple of your games up there. It's not a far drive for me. So, and I think, do I still have one of my former players?
Yeah, you got Colton. Yeah. Colton is a junior. Colton had a rough sophomore year. He tore his hip labrum, and this is a testament to kind of the tough as nails kids that come from that panhandle area. He played through the whole season, didn't really find out that his labrum was torn until maybe the last month of the season. And at that point, it was done. It was already torn. So he kind of powered through it. Really was mentally draining on him to kind of not have the year that he had. I think he scored 14, 15 goals for us as a freshman. And then to come out and be expected to turn that up, he didn't. He was just not healthy. He would play the first 5 minutes and then come off in extreme pain and then not be able to go back. Well, he's healthy now, and I got to pull the reins back on him a lot. He's probably 4 months post-op, and he's out there running through shooting like it's a national championship, and that's the type of kid Colton is.
He was exactly the same way in high school. That kid, he would just put himself in a different zone when he played.
And at times you're like, hey man, just chill. we got a lot of shots to take. We got like probably 50 today at practice, and you can't shoot the one like you can't shoot the one like you're trying to break through the entire like defense there. So
that's not how he trains, man. He's one of those kids. It's like you train harder than you play because you don't want to be. He believes that you're gonna you don't rise to the level of the situation, you fall to the level of your training. So if you train high, you're going to play high.
Right.
And that's just the way he is. I don't know what else to tell you.
Yeah, he's looked really good through some of the stuff that he's able to do. He's not really in much contact. I'm expecting finally that year of 15 to 20 goals from him because he's shooting better. He's moving better. He was one that as a freshman would play defense, handle the ball in the clear, push it, and then, help us score. He was really the up-end prototypical midi of really playing fast and having us be the score in 4-on-3s and 5-on-4s. So
I've coached him since he was a kid. I coached him in his first year in lacrosse. I've coached him all through youth and high school. I don't know if you knew that.
No.
Yeah. It's good to see him excel, honestly.
I didn't tell him that I was hopping on this, and I'm going to today later, and just let him know that I saw you and it was fun. And he should have a really good year as long as he can stay focused, stay in the training room as he because he goes 100 miles an hour, and it's kind of he takes a ton of beating, and I just want to make sure he understands the maturity. And that's kind of the next thing is being mature about handling your body in college, which is a little harder for guys to do once they get here.
Yeah, he's definitely. College is definitely more physical, but there is no quit in that kid at all.
Isn't.
Yeah, Coach, how do people get a hold of you if they want to talk to you about lacrosse, they want to talk to you about club, they want to talk to you about your program, or just Huntingdon in general?
What's my email is probably the best. acarey@hawks.huntingdon.edu. That's on the Huntington webpage, and like I said, I monitor that email constantly through my phone. So anything that has to do with recruiting, club stuff, you can start there, and then I can deviate you to the next path. But those recruiting emails are of high priority. If someone reaches out to us, we know that's what we call a hot lead. We're going to rush you through the process pretty quick with respect to eval, comparing, and seeing where you fit in to get you that offer if we feel as though you're a good fit for the program. So that's probably the easiest way to email me.
Okay. And is there anybody else that you think that we need to be talking to? Somebody that would be a good fit for this podcast?
Oh man, there's tons of coaches in the Southeast that would love to hop on. Coach Dutton at Piedmont would be a good one. Curtis Gilbert is always fun at Berry College. He's
I've reached out to him. I haven't heard back yet.
I can I'll push it on for you. He's a busy dude. He's these last couple years have been really like big years for him as far as what he's trying to do. He'd be a great fit. I see you've had Lang on. Lang's always quality. Lang's quality time.
Yeah. His episode just dropped.
Yeah,
we just put that one out.
I saw it. The Huntsville coach is a good character. That the guy over there, Mr. Moat, that is the commissioner of the Mississippi, Louisiana, and kind of that Southern Alabama league. He's a good dude. He's just a father that's kind of navigating in an area that's trying to grow lacrosse. So those are always good sound bites. I know the feeling. He can bounce off some things to you, as he's definitely behind what West Florida is, but he's trying to get up there. So those are all good dudes. A lot of the D3 guys would love to hop on and just kind of get their message out.
Yeah. Well, I would love to have them because I think we've got a lot of talented athletes here. And I think a lot of the time they just don't understand the opportunities that are available for them. So things like this, you and I getting together and putting this out there and making it public and getting it in front of, a couple hundred, a couple thousand people is great. I mean, it's exactly what we need to do in order to grow the sport and to get the right people in the right seats. I mean, that's really what it comes down to.
And I think the athletes need to know that the ball is in their court a lot more than they think. This isn't lacrosse, isn't football. Even football you kind of control the narrative with respect to reaching out to colleges, and plenty of college coaches will say, hey, we're full, you don't quite fit. But if you kind of really get a good assessment from your club coach or high school coach, and if your high school coach isn't someone who's going to totally take the reins and help you, reaching out to like you, Coach Jon, and then Coach Jon being like, hey, I don't really know like where this guy fits in. Coach Carey, can you help me and let him know? And I can pass on. Like, you're always a great resource. All of your coaches are always great resources as you want to play at the next level. But start to do some research. Start to find, if you want to go 14 hours from home, what schools have lacrosse 14 hours from home? What schools have your major if you want to stay closer? I think people procrastinate. A lot of athletes procrastinate, thinking that the offer is going to just fall in their lap. And with really only 5% of high school athletes playing in college at the college level, 1% is playing at the highest level. So you're really at kind of a numbers game where there's not many that are getting to play in college. And that's a lot of it because they're sitting back and waiting for the opportunity. You kind of got to go get the opportunity. And those coaches will be honest with you, and you'll be honest with them. And if you don't know where to go, you're going to turn to your resources because you care about the kids. And that's kind of what coaching's about, caring about the kids.
Yep. Well, I appreciate that. Coach, this has been awesome. I appreciate you taking the time. I'm so glad to finally get you on here. This has been on my list for a while.
That was fun. Thank you.
Yeah, no, this is great. For everybody else, reach out to Coach Carey at Huntingdon and check out some of those games. As for me, if there's questions we can answer for you, obviously email me, JON at First City Lacrosse, or First City Lax, I guess is what it is. And get your reps in, be a good human. See everybody next time.
Yeah, thanks.
If you like what you hear, drop us a like and follow wherever you downloaded this podcast from, and on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube at First City Lax. Check back every week for more content. Thank you for being a part of the First City Lacrosse podcast.